Shanti, Shanti. So in the last session, we discussed about the text, the Vedanta Treatise. So in the text, basically, it is talking about the laws of life, Vedanta. So starting from the basics and step by step, it's taking us to the ultimate philosophy of life. Now, we discussed in the preface, Samji already gave the content about what is Vedanta. It's ancient wisdom coming down in generation, given out by these self-realized masters, and it is meant for us to live in a better way. Wherever we are, whoever we are, it is a knowledge which can help us to apply in our day-to-day living. Now, it is not, so there are few misunderstanding in the society, which he countered by saying that Vedanta is not for retired people. It is meant for dynamic people. It's meant for youngsters. It's meant for people who can understand and apply this in their day-to-day living. So the purpose of this knowledge is to make us dynamic and peaceful. So at the action level, we become more dynamic, and at the level of the mind, we maintain that peace of mind. Often what happens is one set of people, they are progressive and dynamic, but they don't have the peace of mind. And the other set of people in the Asian countries, we see that they are relatively peaceful, but there is no progress, there is no prosperity, there is no dynamism. Here is a knowledge which helps us to combine both. We can be progressive, we can be dynamic in life, at the same time maintain that serenity, that peace within us. How to do it is a knowledge all about. That was the preface. And then he moved on to explain the three sections of the chapter, of the text. The first is the introduction of Vedanta, then is the practical Vedanta, then the essence of Vedanta. So the introduction to Vedanta is talking basically introducing the concepts, the basic ideas. In the second topic, he's talking about the practical Vedanta, where he talks about the practical application in knowledge of day-to-day life. So it's little technical in the second section. And the third section is the essence of Vedanta, where the ultimate philosophy is being given. Then we covered the chapter 1, the science and Vedanta, where it compared Vedanta is like a science. It is a science. It's a scientific knowledge. It's a technical knowledge. So we understood that life is series of experience. All of life, our life is made of multiple experiences. Each experience, if we go in, we zoom in, we find that each experience is made up of you, the individual, meeting the world. When you meet the world, there's experience. So if you have to improve the quality of life, you have to look into both aspects of life, which is the world and the individual. What we do, the science takes care of the objective world. Vedanta is the only knowledge which takes care of the subjective personality, the individual. So that was the topic for science and Vedanta. And then we went in to understand the next topic for the day is Vedanta, the base of religion. So here today on, we will be covering the chapter, we will try and cover the chapter 1. So Vedanta is known as Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana Dharma means eternal principles of life and living. Sanatana means eternal. What does it mean by eternal? Eternal means it's always valid. Anything which is passing, which is not right today, or it is right only for a particular time frame, it cannot be called as eternal. This knowledge was given out thousands of years back, and it is relevant today, here, now as well. So the purpose of this knowledge is to elevate or change or transform the personality. Since the subject matter does not change with time, the mind and the intellect, will come to the point of the mind and intellect. Because of that, the knowledge is always relatable, practical, applicable, even now. And that's what the meaning of Sanatana Dharma. It's very misunderstood as Sanatana Dharma does not mean that it is only for a particular people, only for a particular country, only for a particular religion. In fact, Vedanta is the base of all religion. It is the essence of all religion. So, the science of eternal principles is called as Vedanta. Now, the presentation of Vedanta, as we learned in the last session, it is in all the Vedas, the end portion of the Vedas. Rig, Sama, Yajur, Atharvana, they are the four Vedas. The last portion, the end portion of all the Vedas contains the meaning, the essence, the philosophy. And since it is in the end portion, the philosophy is in the end of the Vedas, it's called Veda Anta. Knowledge, Veda, which is contained in the end portion of the Vedas, which is nothing but the knowledge of the Upanishads. Upanishads are the part of the. So Upanishads are the conversation between the self-realized masters and the seekers, and those are the content of the Vedas, Vedanta. So Vedanta is also called as a Sanatana Dharma, as we said, because it's a long term, it's a time-tested truth of life. It is not an opinion of anyone. Opinion and fact. We need to discriminate between what is an opinion and what is a fact. Delhi is good, Delhi is bad. Delhi is polluted, Delhi is not that polluted. Delhi is safe, not that safe. Each one can have different opinions. Delhi is the capital of India. It's a fact. I can't change it, you can't change it. Similarly, in life, it is important that we are able to discriminate between what is an opinion versus what are the facts. Vedanta is based on facts of life. It is not based on opinion of different people. They are talking about the fundamental laws of life, so it does not change with time. Like law of gravity, it's a law. We can't say, I don't believe in the law. You may believe, you may not believe. It functions, it is applicable for one and all. Similarly, these are fundamental laws which are applicable to humanity. So it is relevant, it is applicable, it is not limited to any sect, any religion, any particular culture, any particular country. It's meant for all. Then, it is very interesting, the concept of religion and yoga. The word yoga is derived from, it's a Sanskrit term, derived from the root yuj, Y-U-J. Religion is derived from the Latin term religare. Yoga is derived from yuj. Yuj means to unite. Religion is derived from religare, rejoin, reunite. So, yoga in Sanskrit and religion in English means the same. They both are referring to something to get back, to reunite. When we say reunite, rejoin, get back, the understanding is that we are separated for something. We are not the same. We have to go back to some place. And that's what the purpose of religion being. So the goal of all religion is only to discover our true nature, to unfold our real nature. Who am I? Who are we? Each one of us are an individual which we believe ourselves to be. And here is a knowledge which says it's not so. Find out for yourself. Don't have to believe in them, but we need to pursue the path. We need to understand it for our purpose. So these masters, this knowledge is only giving us a direction in life. This is saying that what we believe ourselves is not our real identity. It is an assumed identity, and our real identity is something beyond what we understand, and that is the pursuit, and that is called spirituality. So the purpose of religion is only to help us understand our real nature. The purpose of yoga is also to reunite and understand our real nature. So they both means the same, they both have the same purpose. Now, we believe ourselves to be this personality, but there are layers in our personality. So we need to go deeper in our personality and understand this physical body is just an outer vehicle. It has nothing more, nothing less about it. There is something more going deeper in our personality. And when we are able to go deeper, we find that there is a unifying principle which is same in one and all. And that is what is called as self, Allah, Vaheguru, Bhagwan, different names given in different religion. In Vedanta, we call Brahman, we call Atman, all means the same. They are all referring to the same unifying principle. When we talk about any religion for that matter, when we talk about Christ, Christ had a birth and a death. He says, it's not me, it is Father in heaven. Father in heaven has no birth, no death. Same applies to Islam. Prophet Muhammad, he says, I'm just a messenger, it's Allah. Same applies in Hinduism. Same applies in all different religions. They all are referring to an unknown entity which nobody understands, nobody knows. It cannot be understood with our perceptions. What is that we can understand with eye, ear, nose, tongue, and skin? These are the perceptions we have. With the eye, you cannot see God. You can see a deity, but that is not the reality. Deity is representing the reality. In other words, you have a marriage ring. The marriage ring represents your sacred union with your partner. Marriage ring is not the marriage. In other words, if the marriage ring is lost, you don't start looking for another partner because it is just a representation of something beyond it. The national flag is representing the nation. National flag is not the nation. Similarly, the gods and goddesses, all the symbols, all the idols we have in different religions, they are representing something beyond it. So we need to go through it and understand what is it representing, the ideal beyond the ideal. So when we are able to go beyond, we are able to understand that unifying identity. Now, what is interesting is every religion has a two aspect in it. Like we said, they all are talking about the same reality. And Vedanta is the source of the knowledge. How do we say that? This is what we are talking about. Every religion has two aspects. One is the ritual part of it, and other is the philosophy part of it. Any religion has two aspects, ritual and the philosophy. So when we talk about the rituals, they are different. Somebody may fasting on a Friday, somebody fasts on a Sunday, somebody fasts on a Monday, may go to a temple or a church or a mosque, may have different way of performing the rituals. But the meaning, the significance, the purpose behind it remains the same. And that is the deep essence, the philosophy behind all religion. So Vedanta is the core message because Vedanta is just a knowledge, it's a piece of information. And that information is nothing but the philosophy of all the religion. And that's why the topic is called as the Vedanta, the base of religion. Vedanta is the base of all religion because it is the philosophy which is the foundation of any religion. So the purpose of religion, as we discussed, is to get back to the reality, understand the reality, and the methodology can be different for different people, different followers, different religions. So they have given a different method to reach the same reality, same understanding. So you talk about Christ or Krishna or Mahavir or Buddha, all these were self-realized masters, and they gave the knowledge to the masses, to the followers, only to help them, help us to understand and realize the truth. So the problem where it came is when we lose the essence in the religion. The problem we see in the society today is because we are becoming fanatic. We have become fanatic about our religion. And why this fanaticism has come in? Because of our lack of understanding of our own religion. It is nothing to do with the religion. It is nothing to do with scriptures. It is nothing to do with the masters. They are talking about the absolute. They are talking about the core, the essence. But since out of our limitation, we value the ritual part of it, and we start discriminating between people, which was never the purpose of any religion. The purpose of religion was to unite. The purpose of religion was to identify with others, was to grow as a human being. Whereas, since we have lost that philosophy, the meaning, the essence, and in generations, it has completely came down to following the rituals. So if you follow a ritual, then you are considered a particular religion, which has created all the controversies, all the problems. The solution given by Vedanta is that you should not take any religion, any understanding without thinking. So approach your religion with understanding, with thinking. If it's not making sense, shelve it. Maybe right, don't have to criticize, don't have to condemn anyone, but do not take anything for granted. Vedanta is based on logic, based on reason. Moment you lose that logic and reason, moment you pursue any religion at the level of emotions, you lose the touch with the essence of religion. There has to be an understanding of what we pursue. Nothing wrong in doing anything, but if we are doing it mechanically, it is not the purpose. It doesn't solve the purpose. So we need to understand why we are doing it. It can be simple thing like, there is a ritual where you mourn, don't keep quiet. Now, it can be taken mechanically. People might be doing it with the ego and arrogance that, I am very spiritual because I'm able to do mourn. Or it can be going to any place of worship. People may have a count of how many places we are going, or how many places we have covered. Now, a temple or a church or a mosque, wherever we go, it is only going to help our calf muscle. The journey to the temple is not making us spiritual. If I am selfish and self-centered, wherever I go, I'll carry that with me. So that doesn't transform my mindset. I need knowledge. I need understanding to change my mindset in life, so that wherever I am, I'm able to be service-oriented at the physical level. At the emotional level, I'm able to identify with all. At the intellectual level, I'm able to be generous with others, think for others, consider other people also exist. So all this can happen only when we approach life more liberally, not being fanatic. So whatever we believe in, whatever we follow, it has to be with a reason, with a purpose. See, all of us, whoever we be, wherever we are at a particular level of spiritual growth. Now, from the perspective of others, you may be very highly spiritual. You may be doing a lot of things. You may be doing something very different from others. You are very distinct from how other people, the society functions. So you automatically stand out. But from your point of view, that is not growth. You are naturally inclined and spiritual. You have a tendency to help, to serve, to do whatever best you can in your own area. But that is not progress. Progress is, spiritual progress has to be to do with our own ego, has to do with our control on the mind, has to do with our desires. So these are the parameters which defines our growth. So it is important to understand that where do we stand and keep moving until you reach the ultimate. So there is no point being complacent that we are okay, this knowledge is for others. No, that's not the way to approach life. As a human being, we have the opportunity, we have the ability, all of us are capable of growing, becoming a better version of ourselves. So the effort has to be how to use this ability, how to use this opportunity to grow. And the knowledge of Vedanta helps us to give us a direction. So it is the base of all religion. So the essential aspect of religion is the philosophy. It's like the essential aspect of the bulb or any gadget is electricity, the core. So when we are able to go through the external paraphernalia and go to the actual essential aspect in and through whatever we go through, that is the knowledge going to help us with. So it is not to stay with the physical appearance, but to understand people, situations, circumstances better or deeper beyond our perception. So the knowledge is helping us to go deeper in our own experiences, in our own personality. That's the purpose of the knowledge. Now, one of the interesting points Swamiji makes here, he says, verify the knowledge taken in with its practical application in life. So as you would verify, so there's a George Bernard Shaw, he says, the most intelligent person I met is the tailor because he takes fresh measurement every time. That's a quotation. The only man who behaves sensibly is my tailor. He takes my measurement anew every time he sees me, while all the rest go and on with their old measurements and expect me to fit in them. George Bernard Shaw. He was a humorist, and the interesting part of the quotation is he's neither talking about the tailor nor talking about the measurements. He's talking about assessment in life. He's talking about how do we meet life? How do we relate to people? So take fresh measurements. We may have our own understanding of people, of situations, circumstances. Doesn't mean that it will remain the same throughout our life. George Bernard Shaw is saying the true right way of approaching life is to have that attitude of assessing every time we come across a situation as if it is a new experience. That's how we relate to things. So, and the other part, it's here. The general belief that one has to retire to solitude, to the forest for study and practice of Vedanta. Lead the life of ascetics. This is not true. Vedanta does not expect anyone to live life of resignation. It is not a retirement plan, but a technique of dynamic living. So he gives a very interesting analogy where he says that to discover something, let's say a virus has come, COVID-19 has come. To discover the medicine for COVID-19, the scientists had to retire, they had to go to the lab, they had to work day and night to find out the cure, to find out the vaccine. Now, that doesn't mean two things. It doesn't mean the vaccine is only for that particular country. Also, that doesn't mean that anybody who has to take the vaccine has to go to that particular lab and take it, have to seclude themselves, and only then they can have the vaccine. No. Similarly, these masters, they secluded themselves and they learn and they gain the knowledge of the ultimate, but it is not meant for recluse. It is not meant. So what happens is we believe spirituality means discarding from responsibility. It's not so. Spirituality does not mean that you have to leave your obligations. It means wherever you are, whoever you are, perform it to the best of your ability. Use your experiences to grow as a human. That is the purpose of spirituality. That mindset of growth, of progressive, is spirituality. So you don't need to, people complain, you guys are okay. We are in a difficult situation. In fact, Swamiji mentions in one of the chapter, wherever you are best placed for your evolution. So people say that, it is easy to perform or pursue the knowledge and grow when nothing is, things are conducive around us. If everything is conducive, what is there to fight? What is the challenge? Knowledge of Vedanta helps us to face challenges in life. Wherever we go, we will be having complications, we will be having challenges. It's not running away from challenges, it is facing it head on, and how to handle it is the knowledge of Vedanta. So, what is interesting is tributes to Vedanta. Most people, in India itself, may not have that regard or respect for this knowledge of Vedanta. We just don't know what we have. Interesting part is this tributes to Vedanta was included only for people to convince that there is something which even Westerners and others recognized it. So that doesn't mean Vedanta stands on its own. It doesn't need us to believe it or not believe it. These are fundamental laws given by great giants. So, but it can be helpful, can be inspiring for somebody who is inspired by people, their opinions of people. So, in that context, it is useful. So, very interesting. He has given some renowned philosophers. Arthur Schopenhauer says he considers the study of Upanishads, Vedanta, as the most beneficial and elevating in the world. He found immense comfort in its teaching. It has been the solace of my life. It will be the solace of my death. Max Muller, the German Orientalist, he says he endorses Schopenhauer views based on his lifelong study of world, religions, and philosophies, saw Vedanta as the best preparation for happy life and death. I know of no better preparation for it than Vedanta. See, all the knowledge we are gaining in the world is about the world. This is the only knowledge available to humanity which is talking about ourselves. The subject matter of Vedanta is you. So he says that is the best preparation for happy life and even death. I know of no better preparation for it than Vedanta. Max Muller. Paul Deussen, professor, he says he found the essence of great Western philosophers in Vedanta, advised Indians to keep to its unfalsified form as a support for morality and consolation. Strongest support of pure morality is the greatest consolation on the sufferings of life and death. So, the knowledge worth learning, worth pursuing, he found is Vedanta. Swami Vivekananda declared Vedanta as a universal religion because it is based on eternal principles, not on the life of a founder. All religious systems are special paths to draw out divinity. That's the same thing we discussed. Religion and yoga are just giving a direction to the reality. Based upon eternal principle, its claim of being the universal religion. Swami Ramatirtha, a self-realized master, he says, described Vedanta as the practical religion found in nature and within oneself, to be lived in everyday life, not just in temples. A religion which you have to practice and live in your everyday life, everywhere. Swami Ramatirtha. Schlegel, German philosopher, says he compared European philosophy to Indian thought as pygmies to a titan, praised the deep, noble, and clear expression of the true God in early Indian writings. Reunion and recooperation with divinity as the one primary object of every action and exertion. So, like we said, Vedanta stands on its own merits. It is not based on the assurance given by these great men. But it can be interesting to launch into the study of people who may have regard for these people. Next topic we are getting in is the reason, the sap of Vedanta. The core fundamental of Vedanta is based on reason and logic. And that's why you will find scientific people, technical people, mathematicians will appreciate the knowledge because it's based on systematic understanding of concepts. It's not generally saying an idea, a concept. It explains it step by step. And that's the reason. So the faculty of reason is a human prerogative. It arises from the ability to think. All other beings lack this faculty. Reason makes the human the chef d'oeuvre of creation. But the few care to develop the art of thinking and reasoning. People do not seem to realize that thinking is a skilled work. Mm. Just a moment. So, humans are designed to think. The strength of a human is the ability to think. And thinking is a skilled work. Skilled work means you need to develop it. It doesn't come naturally. Like playing an instrument or any other art, any other skill, it needs to be developed. Yes, we have it. All humans are born with an intellect, but mere being born doesn't mean that we know how to think rightly. So it has to be developed from childhood. The ability to question. In the last session, if you remember, we said, how do you develop the intellect? Is by questioning, by ability to ask, reason. When we are able to do that, we are developing our faculty to think. It's not taken for granted. Even here, after session, we'll take up the questions. Whatever questions you have, please write it down. We discuss about it. And it's not about attacking or it is just about understanding it right. You don't have to believe it. You don't have to discard it. There is something which has been presented. We do the best to make sure that it is being communicated in the true way, and it has to be thought about for our subjective application. End of the day, we need to realize that we need to deal with our own mind. So our intellect has to be convinced about what we pursue. Until and unless I'm convinced about something, how much ever it may be right, how much ever everybody may talk about it, it will not go through me. It will not help me to transform my personality because I am not convinced. So the ability to think, when we use that ability to reason it for ourselves, we are able to go deeper in our personality, and that helps in application. Application is natural. Only requirement is that dedicated pursuit. Firstly, we need to understand the seriousness of the knowledge, the importance of the knowledge in our life. Moment we realize the importance, automatically we start giving some time to it. Whatever time you can afford. 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour. In a day, we are talking about something you're investing on, which is long term, which is sustainable, which is eternal. It's not generally listening, but it is thinking, reflecting. How do you receive the knowledge? By reflecting on it, by trying to understand what is being communicated. So that's what he's saying. The human prerogative is to reason. And how do you develop this mastery? By keep on applying yourself again and again. Do not, the attitude in life has to be never take anything for granted. You may have respect and regard for elders, for traditions, for people, for religion, for everything. But that doesn't mean that you have to accept and live it. By respect, even Vedanta for that matter, we are saying we are repeating something which is coming down in thousands of years. Just because it's being repeated and it is an ancient wisdom doesn't mean that you have to follow it. Take it in its own merit. It's not because Arthur Schopenhauer is talking about something. It's not about Max Muller is talking about something, but what are they referring to? What is it saying? So when we approach the religion or Vedanta with that core understanding that there has to be a reason, let me try and get into it. And that's what he's saying. Reason is the sap of Vedanta. It's the core of Vedanta. It's based on reason. The knowledge is based on understanding, on logic. It's a very precise, it's a technical, it's a very methodic knowledge. So the common mistake is that we assume that thinking is natural, which is not so. You need to apply yourself, and only then you develop that art of thinking, technique of thinking. Doesn't matter even if you make mistakes. How do you know that what is right, what is wrong? Doesn't matter. The moment you step back and start thinking, whatever you understand till date, based on that, is it right or is it wrong? You are acting on your intellect, reasoning. The other way of acting is mechanically going along with action. Whatever comes on your mind, you act on it. That is not going to help us in becoming more stable in our personality. We become more impulsive. So the society tends to incline towards being impulsive in life. Here is a knowledge which says being more thoughtful in life, in our actions. every action has to be filtered through understanding, your own logic, your own reason. And that's the same approach you keep to the understanding of Vedanta. So the purpose of Vedanta, it trains you to think for yourself. The philosophy directs you to study, reflect, and realize the fundamental truths of life through your own independent judgment. The goal is to free you from blind faith. The role of Vedanta is to free you from infatuation with external authorities and educate you on eternal truths through your own developed reason. So you don't highlight personalities. The person in front of you, it's there, may not be there, be dead and gone. But value the knowledge which is being transacted. Give importance to knowledge, not people, whoever they be. So it is important that we keep the focus very clear in our own growth, in our own development. And then we will have the right value for right things. That's what he's saying. So it is important that we don't have blind faith. Somebody says you feed a black dog, you'll be prosperous. Question. Somebody says you'll be, there's stars are not right. Question. Somebody says turn the house upside down, there'll be prosperity. Question. Find out. He may be right, he may be wrong. We are not negating it. We are not against it. We're only saying question before you pursue anything. A lot of times what happens is, people come to Swamiji to meet. They'll have different, in fact, recently, what happened, one person came to meet Swamiji. He had threads in his hand, different, multiple threads. Now, Swamiji asked the same question. Why do you have threads? People are so fanatic about it. They're scared to cut the thread. It's a sacred thread. You tie it, fair enough. Nobody's saying don't do it. You perform a ritual, you tie a thread, it's over, cut it, move on. Why it collects bacteria? Why you're keeping it? For years, people keep it. So the focus is not on being okay. You have devotion, nothing wrong with it. But if you're not thinking, then it's not helping you to grow. That's the whole point about Vedanta. The approach has to be thoughtful, logical. Only then it will help you. Now, go to the next topic. It's a very interesting topic. It's talking about, there's an interesting example Swamiji gives in this. Example, Sap of Vedanta is reason. Take example of two men professing different religious beliefs. One a staunch Hindu, the other a devout Christian. They were born the same day in a maternity ward 40 years back. An attending nurse committed a colossal blunder. She mistakenly exchanged the newborn in their cradles. The Hindu baby was placed in the Christian mother cradle and the Christian in the Hindu mother's cradle. And the two children were brought up unknowingly with opposite domestic, social, and religious influences. You could imagine the natural consequence. Both have now grown up holding beliefs totally opposed to their original family and religion. And each now swears by his particular belief. William Drummond remarks, he who cannot reason is a fool. He who will not is a bigot, big-headed. He who dare not is a slave. So if you are scared to question, you are a slave to society, to everything around you. If you are not able to question, which means your capacity of thinking is less, so which is a fool. So a very interesting way he puts it, it is a fundamental way in approaching. So the world must wake up from its slumber. You must start thinking, questioning, inquiring, reasoning with the truths of life. The philosophy of Vedanta satisfies the test of reason and logic. It complies with the principle of sound judgment. The truths that are acceptable to your intellect, you should apply in your life. Verify their authenticity, then you begin to taste the joys of higher and chaste living. With your personal experience, you would delve deeper into the essence of Vedanta, attain peace and happiness. Now, we'll conclude with this topic. It's a very interesting topic, your real self. In this, there's the introduction of who you are. And there's a shift of gear, the shift of focus of what we believe ourselves to be versus what they are indicating ourselves to be. And they have given examples to explain that. human beings have lost the knowledge of their real self. So what they're saying is, you are not this individual, what you believe yourself to be. You are something beyond this physical appearance, and that reality is referred in the context as self. Capital S referring to the highest reality. Vedanta expounds your real self as supreme, whole, absolute. He who realizes the self enjoys infinite peace and bliss. Having lost the infinite state, humans feel a sense of imperfection, a void felt within. So there's an interesting example given of a coiled spring. Now, interesting, we always struggle throughout our life just to be happy, just to be peaceful, happy. We do so many things, so many struggle we go through, but we find it difficult to achieve it. Even if we get it, it's very temporary. So that's the example. Why do you feel constantly pressurized? So he compares it with a spring. Imagine a 4-foot spring. You compress it to 1 foot. There's a 4-foot spring. You compress it to 1 foot. What happens? There is a pressure, right? Pressure on the palm going upwards, pushing upwards. So you release it to 1 feet. There is a tremendous pressure, high pressure, you can feel it. Take it to 2 feet. There's a partial release. You feel it that it's less pressure. Completely released. You see that you feel it's no more pressurized. Now, the question is, why is it that at last stage, where it's on the 4 feet, it's no more pressurized? So in the text, he explains it. It's because when the spring was not in that 4 feet, it was pressurized because it wanted to go back to its original state, which was the natural state of being. The original nature of the spring was 4 feet. So when it is in the original state, there is no pressure. Since it is not in the original state, you feel the pressure. And what we do is, so desire compress your peace, the pressure you feel is just trying to get back to its natural state. Your original state is bliss. Stop being pressurized. Knowledge helps to decompress, shifting focus from the world to oneself. So innocently, ignorantly, what we do is we go to the world to release the pressure. And we find it's not working out. Because the problem was never the world. The world did not create the pressure within ourselves. So we are going the wrong direction to solve the problem. So what we need to do is find out why we are getting pressurized. What is going wrong? And when you're able to release, when you're able to go within yourself, and that's where it gives a very interesting slide on the law of spiritual evolution. The law says it's a graph between spiritual growth and your dependence on the world for happiness. We go to the world, go back to the earlier example. We go to the world because we believe that we are pressurized, and when we meet the world, the experience will release the pressure. And in the context, in the process, we become dependent on the world. The law of spiritual evolution is saying spiritual growth is inversely proportional to your dependence on the world. If you are spiritually grown, if you believe that you're grown, how do you know that you're grown? To that extent, you are less dependent, less affected by the world. So imagine you are in 75%, 75-25, which means 75% of your personality is dependent on the world for happiness, which means everything around you have to be according to your wish, your liking, your mindset. Only then you are happy. 25% of the time, you are generally okay, even if it is not according to your mindset. Now, that we call as health. Highly stressed mental agitation, because the world cannot cater to one person's mindset. Each one has a different way of functioning. Everywhere, there'll be different experiences. So when we become dependent on experiences for our happiness, automatically we lose that peace, we become agitated, and that we are calling as hell. Now, what is heaven? When you reduce your dependency on the world. Imagine 75% of growth will mean 25% of your dependence on the world. So, since you are less dependent on the world, though things are not according to what you would like it to be, you understand your capacity, you understand your limitation, and you perform the best, you put your effort, but you understand that the effect is not in your hand, and you accept things as it is. That mindset helps you to be in heaven. You're peaceful, you're happy. We complain that the world is making me agitated. Vedanta says, no, it's a myth. World can never disturb you. World can never agitate you. It is your understanding of the world, it is your approach to the world which has to be looked into. So, the graph of human evolution says the spiritual growth or evolution is inversely proportional to mental dependence on the world. Very important point. It is not a physical dependence. It's not running away physically. It is that mentally we start becoming dependent on object and beings of the world for our happiness. In other words, if I have that, I'm happy. If I don't have it, I'm not happy. That attitude in life, that kind of approach in life agitates us. And that's why we face the hell. So growth is to do with your control on the mind, on your personality, when you are not buffeted, when not affected by the situations around you. That capacity is what he's talking about. So understand your real self. You are that absolute. You are that core source of happiness. Since the lack of understanding of it, the thoughts go outside. It is called desire. So this is what is explaining the feel a void within. You are complete. You are the self. Since we do not understand our real nature, we believe ourselves to be incomplete. That incompleteness, because of that incompleteness, the thought goes to the world to fulfill that void felt within, an imaginary void felt within, and which can never be fulfilled because it was never there. So the direction going outward is not going to solve or not going to change our state of the mind. And that's what he's explaining by the coil spring example. And then he gave the concept of the law of spiritual evolution, where we talked about the law is talking about that the spiritual growth is inversely proportional to dependence on the world. So more you grow, how do you know that you are growing as a person? You know, one of the things we say, FIR. FIR. How do you know that you are growing spiritually? FIR. What is FIR? Frequency, intensity, rebound factor. Meaning, as you progress in life, the frequency of, the sine curve, it goes in this, so the frequency of your affectation reduces, your intensity of the affectation reduces, and the rebound factor is that you are able to get back swiftly, fast, quickly. That's what happens with the knowledge. I repeat, FIR is a nice way of keeping in mind. How do you know that you're growing spiritually? When the frequency of your affectation is reduced, F is frequency, I is intensity. The intensity, how deeply you get affected, how frequently you get affected, how deeply, intensely you get affected, that reduces. And the rebound factor, that ability to get back quickly, it improves. So we will do good to go deeper in the knowledge, understanding, and apply it so that we are able to handle things in a better way. Thank you so much.